Well. It's that time of year once again. It's always the most popular video every single calendar year. It's the 5th time I've done this on my channel. We're gonna talk about every single godforsaken Blu-ray behind me. And I realize, yes, physical media is a bit of a lost art for a lot of people, and that's what honestly makes this video so much more fun. I get to just shoot the shit with all of you lovely people on every single movie in my collection. We're gonna go ahead and talk all things movies and entertainment over here, as I've been doing for almost 5 years on this channel now. If you've stumbled upon this channel for the first time, welcome. Do consider subscribing if you want to join a great community of film lovers and geeks alike, and tap on that thumbs up by the end as well if you enjoyed what you saw today. But obviously, considering how many Blu-rays and 4Ks are in my collection, not going to get into a big old gigantic story for every single one of them because we'll be here until tomorrow. And I don't think anybody wants to watch that. But without any further ado, for the 5th time on this channel, here is the Blu-ray collection. As your friends at Marvel Studios would say right now, especially this weekend, let's fucking go! Yeah, this year, in case you couldn't tell, I'm on a bit of a Deadpool and Wolverine craze right now. But let's do this, guys. Strap in. This is going to be a very long video. If you have a drink like I do, Baja Blast, go ahead and crack one open. Go get yourself a snack. Let's talk some movies. So yeah, first up, if your Blu-ray collection is organized correctly, alphabetically, this should always be the first one you start with until further notice. 310 to Yuma, directed by James Mangold. Next up, you have 8 Mile, starring Eminem. I believe that was nominated for some Oscars the year it came out. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Can't wait to see what Dan Trachtenberg does next as a director. That film was awesome. 10 Things I Hate About You. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. One of my all-time favorite movies, 12 Angry Men. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you've never seen this before, it's one of the most influential, greatest movies of all time. Whatever adjective you want to use. 12 Monkeys. All my best wishes to Bruce Willis right now. 12 Strong. 12 Years a Slave. One of the most scarring viewing experiences I ever had as a junior in high school. 21 Jump Street as well as 22 Jump Street. Is it just me or have rumors been circulating about a sequel for God knows how long now? 28 Days Later, speaking of sequels that I'm very anxious to see, especially after Cillian Murphy's Momentum picked up a lot of steam. The 39 Steps on Criterion. Oh, Kelly Clarkson. Got to do that every time. 40-Year-Old Virgin. Next up, we have 42. Rest in peace, King. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. 50-50, a very, very funny movie about a touchy subject. The first and certainly not the last Disney film you're going to see in this collection, 101 Dalmatians, 127 Hours, a movie I can only watch a handful of times in my lifetime. This is Sparta! I need to calm down, my friends. Yeah, 300. As Taylor Swift would say, you need to calm down. 500 Days of Summer, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Again, not the only rom-com starring that man that you will see here. 1408, super underrated scary movie there. 1917, a movie that a lot of people think is just a gimmick. 2001: A Space Odyssey, a must-own, a must-watch for any cinephile out there. I may need to do a review on that at some point. Abigail, this is one of the brand new additions to the collection over the past week or so. Shout out to my friend Jacob Hubbard, who absolutely loves this movie. I have my issues with it, but it's still one of the most fun times I've had at the theater so far this year. The Abyss, finally on physical media, The Abyss. And Accepted, a dumbass comedy. The Accountant, super, super underrated movie. If you've never seen that before, absolutely amazing. It's almost like if you cross Good Will Hunting with Jason Bourne. Ad Astra, really underrated Brad Pitt movie. Nobody talks about that one anymore. The Adjustment Bureau, still have no idea what the hell is going on in that movie. Air. Next up, you have Air Force One. Get off my plane! And yeah, Harrison Ford, of course, next year is going to be playing another United States president. Akeelah and the Bee. Watch this one if you haven't seen it before. Young Keke Palmer, great performances across the board there. My second favorite animated Disney movie of all time in Aladdin. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. Alice in Wonderland, speaking of Disney. I don't own the remake because it sucks. Here we go. Alien, Aliens, and Alien Covenants. I think there's a couple more in that franchise, but yeah, rumors, they're just rumors, right? Joking aside, I'm actually going to be looking at every single Alien movie in the franchise, the main 6, leading up to Alien Romulus coming out in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. All the Money in the World, All the President's Men. Next up is Almost Famous, a great movie. Haven't seen that in a really long time. Amadeus and the Nice Digibook, one of my dad's favorite movies of all time. You want to talk about historic. This movie is it right there. Tom Hulce, F. Murray Abraham, phenomenal. American Beauty, we don't talk about that star anymore, do we? American Fiction. Now listen, if I had saw this last year when it actually came out instead of in January 2024, this would have been on my best of the year countdown. So electric. Jeffrey Wright, phenomenal in this. I'm gonna call this book, Fuck! It's just so freaking ridiculous. American Gangster. This is the point in the collection where you start to notice a pattern in the titles. American Graffiti. American History X. Talk about a great movie right there. American Hustle, David O. Russell, probably my favorite one of his. American Made, with Tom Cruise, of course. American President, The American President, rather, yeah. Great movie, recommended to me by my mom. Oh my god, it even has a watermark. What else can be said about American Psycho that hasn't been said already? And American Sniper, of course, because you gotta have American Sniper in here, right? Bit overrated. American Underdog, pretty good football movie, actually. Gotta give that one another watch soon. An American Werewolf in London. Then you have American Amistad. Just kidding, obviously. It's not American Amistad. I should have said American Amsterdam. That probably would have been a lot funnier. Anchorman is up next. I mean, I've just visited the San Diego Zoo recently, and that played a huge part in the finale of that movie. Oh, it's a little sticky there. Oops. Yeah, you got season 1 of Andor. Thank God that show exists because it made that character interesting. Animal House. Annihilation, really weird freaking movie directed by, what's that guy's name? Alex Garland? Yeah. Yeah, Alex Garland. I know who that is. Anomalisa, interesting little movie right there. Ant-Man, the first Marvel movie you're going to see in this collection. This movie is awesome. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a good palate cleanser after Infinity War. This is kind of trash. I've grown to come to a better understanding about Quantumania now that I've sat on it for about a year. Any Given Sunday, that's a great football movie right there. Anyone But You. I did not realize, I didn't review this last year, but it was actually based on Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. The main characters are Ben after Benedict and B after Beatrice. That blew my mind. Me and Lindsay watched this not too long ago for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. Apocalypse Now, classic. Gotta own it. Apocalypto, extremely underrated. Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem. Aquaman, I will never own Aquaman and the Lost Piece of Garbage. Arachnophobia, seriously, I need to review that for Halloween one year. And if you guys see any titles in this collection that you think would be a good fit for this year's Halloween special, let me know down in the comments. Argo, one of my favorite Ben Affleck movies that he directed. Why do I own Armageddon? Okay, let me address this real quick. The reason why I own this, it's not a good movie at all. But sometimes you just need to have those titles and those spines on your shelf and you scroll past them and you're like, that movie is a lot of fun. I know it's a piece of shit, but this Taco Bell movie right here is a great reminder that there are just way better movies out there. Arrival. Can't wait to see what Denis Villeneuve does next. My brother is wrong, by the way. That movie's great. Arthur and Arthur 2 on the Rocks. Pretty funny movies right there. AI, Artificial Intelligence. Probably Steven Spielberg's lesser effort. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Milo's Return. Curious to see if Tom Holland actually does come as Milo in the live-action remake. Atomic Blonde, fun action movie. I gotta give that another watch at some point soon. Atonement. Oh boy, Atonement. Oh, you think you want these movies, baby? The Austin Powers trilogy. Of course you do. Yeah, it's a classic comedy. Avatar, kind of overrated. Avatar: The Way of Water is also overrated. Anybody who says that that's the best movie of 2022 is a liar. And then you have the Avengers. You have Avengers Age of Ultron. You know what these movies are. The best movie in the MCU so far, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. The latter of the two are in their Best Buy Steelbooks. And I might as well address this right now in regards to Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. I do not mind Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Dr. Doom. I can't wait to see that. The Aviator, phenomenal Scorsese flick. Awakening, speaking of phenomenal flicks. The Babadook. I reviewed this last year. It's so damn creepy. One of the scariest movies of the past decade. Babe, Childhood, Baby Driver. Was he slow? Oh, great Scott! Back to the Future trilogy! Like, how have I not reviewed these movies? Those are just quintessential film classics. Backdraft. Then you have The Bad Guys. That should be an interesting sequel when that comes out. The blueprint to any underdog sports movie, The Bad News Bears. It's one of my most viewed reviews on the channel. Thank you again to everybody who has supported that when I put it out a few years ago. And I stand by what I said. This is one of the greatest sports movies of all time. It's one of my favorite sports movies of all time. And anybody who hasn't seen it yet has to give it a watch. Bad Times at the El Royale. Proof before Furiosa, by the way, that Chris Hemsworth can play a villain. And play a villain very well. Bambi. Then you have The Banshees of Inisherin, a quietly genius movie thematically. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just Ken. Anywhere else I'd be a 10. Barbie. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of the past year. I absolutely adored this thing. If they want to put out a sequel, not opposed to it. Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie, I hope you're listening. Those two women were incredibly shafted by the Academy Awards, by the way. Those two deserved so much better from the Academy. If I were a member of the Academy, I would have absolutely voted for them. Then you have the original Tim Burton Batman, starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker. You are my number one guy. I need to stop. Batman Returns with Danny DeVito as a very demented-looking penguin. Then you have the entire Dark Knight trilogy. Like, what else can be said about these? This is, like, probably the greatest trilogy to ever be put to the screen. This middle movie especially was such a big game changer. This is the one that really opened my eyes to how great the art of film can actually be. And, of course, you have Heath Ledger as the Joker. You want to know how I got these scars? And then you have Robert Pattinson as the Batman. Can't wait for part 2 to come out in a couple of years. And I'll stand by this. Pattinson is the best Batman. Sorry. Then you have Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And then you have all the cartoon Batmans in my collection. Dark Knight Returns, parts 1 and 2. Death in the Family, The Killing Joke. And then you also have Under the Red Hood. All very fun watches in their own right. I need to add more animated Batmans to my collection sooner or later. Battle of the Sexes, probably one of the greatest tennis movies of all time, one of the only tennis movies of all time. Beast, such a fun throwback movie. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. A Beautiful Mind is also on the collection. Yeah. Already getting freaking delirious. Beauty and the Beast, the greatest thing that Disney has ever put out still to this very day. It's the greatest fairy tale that they've ever put to the screen. I will stand by that until my dying breath. Then you have the remake, which was surprisingly a lot of fun, albeit having some plot holes. Of course, I gotta have Beavis and Butthead Do America, dumbass. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice! Okay, yeah, he's not gonna randomly pop into this room. Belfast. I'm safe for right now. The Big Fucking Giant. Then you have Bicycle Thieves. Next up is, what is this? Oh, one of my all-time favorite movies, of course, Big. One of the biggest influences of my childhood. Again, one of Tom Hanks' earliest roles. Arguably might have been his breakout role. Big Fish, very depressing movie if you really think about it. Big Hero 6. Well, I mean, that's just like your opinion, man. One of the greatest comedies of all time, of course, is The Big Lebowski. And that's not just an opinion, man. That's a fact. Next, you have The Big Short, The Big Sick, the big introduction to Kumail Nanjiani and his comedic talent. Big Trouble in Little China, a super popular movie. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And I recognize, yes, that this one is not very good. I don't have Bogus Journey yet. I'm planning on getting it, though. Billy Madison. Birdcage. Yay! I finally watched it, Mom and Dad. Yay! It's great. We are family. Birdman. I reviewed this one not too long ago. Masterpiece. Not much else I can really say about it. The Birds. Speaking of masterpieces, that's a Hitchcock one right there. Birds of Prey. Thank you, DC, for having the balls to make that rated R. And thank you for having the balls to put this out in the open. Black Adam. Still a pretty controversial comic book movie for a lot of people. Very polarizing. Black Klansman, a great Spike Lee joint. Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Both of these movies are so freaking influential. Thank you so much, Chadwick Boseman, for your talent and for your time that you put into this. You were a fucking warrior. And I think the reason why I love this one so much is not just because of how it pays tribute, not just to Boseman and the black culture, but also to the Latino culture in Namor. But yeah, super, super influential movies right there. Happy to own both of those. The Black Phone, one of my favorite horror movies to come out in recent years. Can't wait for that sequel. Black Swan, which has a scene between Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis that a lot of people really like. Black Widow. Pretty mid-Marvel effort. Speaking of Marvel, the Blade trilogy. Wesley Snipes, the only Blade we'll probably ever get. And spoilers without context, I'm glad that Wesley Snipes put his feelings for Ryan Reynolds aside for one little thing. Just kind of hinting at that out there. Blade Runner 2049, which I think is better. And then you have, what's this? Blades of Glory. Blades of Glory is really funny if you haven't seen that one. The Blind Side. Yeah, call it what you want. Call it a white savior movie, but I grew up with that one. I recognize that nowadays it may not be the greatest, but I think it's still solid enough. Blind Spotting, great freaking idea. And then you have cock blockers. Yes, I'm not going to be a wuss. I'm going to call it what it actually is. It's not just blockers, it's cock blockers. The trailer said so. Then you got, I believe, the introduction to the Coen brothers in cinema, Blood Simple on Criterion. Blue Beetle, Zolo Maridueña is a freaking star. Can't wait to see what's next for him. Blue Valentine. Don't watch this with your significant other in February. It's not a good idea. The Blues Brothers. Gotta own the Blues Brothers. One of the greatest comedies of all time. Body of Lies. Pretty underrated flick right there, too. Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, I recognize that this is a pretty significant movie as it goes with putting out a musician biopic every single year. And I also recognize this is probably the most versatility we're ever going to get out of Rami Malek since he plays the same damn role every single time. And yes, I also recognize that this is not a very good movie either. Does it capture everything that Freddie Mercury actually was, which was incredibly vulgar? No, this thing should have absolutely been rated R. But I still think for what it is, you know, it was fun enough as a Queen fan. Bolt, such an adorable movie. Bone Tomahawk. This review that I did for this movie has gotten so much love recently. Man, that movie is brutal. Boogie Nights, probably my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Yeah, that's his name. The Book of Life. A lot of people say that Coco copied off of that one. The Bourne Trilogy and Jason Bourne. I hear rumors that there's supposedly a fourth one that's in between these two, but again, it's all just noise to me. It's all rumors. I don't think it exists. The Boy and the Heron, last year's Best Animated Feature winner at the Oscars, which really pissed a lot of people off, including myself. Brave, Lindsay loves that movie. Freedom! Braveheart. Yeah, gotta have Braveheart if you're a movie fan. Brawl in Cell Block 99, The Breakfast Club. Eat my shorts. I've got you for the rest of your natural born life if you don't watch your step. You want another one? Yes, you got it. You got another one right there. That's another one, pal. This movie is so freaking quotable. I just showed this to Lindsay for the first time not too long ago, and she absolutely loved it. Breaking Bad. This is the greatest TV show in all of history. Bryan Cranston and the character study of Walter White is something that you just have to see to believe. Bridesmaids. Speaking of movies you gotta see to believe, Bridge of Spies. Next up, you have Bridge on the River Kwai and Bridge to Terabithia, a movie that freaking scarred me. I remember going on a field trip to see this movie in the theaters back in 2007. Oh my god, it made me so sad seeing Violet Beauregard from the really crappy Willy Wonka remake die. Yeah, spoiler alert for nobody who's ever seen this. It's not all happy, regardless of whether or not Disney was involved in this. Brightburn. The next up is Brokeback Mountain, a recent addition to the collection. I would like to review this movie at some point soon. You want to talk about a movie that was absolutely robbed by the Academy. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, probably one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. Again, if you've never seen this, it's almost like The Office just set in a police station. Next up is Bruce Almighty, one of my favorite Jim Carrey comedies. A Bug's Life, you know, not my favorite Pixar movie, but I get why people love it. Bullet Train, that movie was so much fun. Next up is Bumblebee, probably the best Transformers live-action movie that will ever be released. The Butler, again, probably because Michael Bay did not direct Bumblebee. Buried, that's an underrated movie. Shout out to Luke Ponto. The Cabin in the Woods, this is my favorite lenticular in the collection. Like, look at that thing. So awesome. The Call of the Wild, Harrison Ford saves that movie. I'll say that every single time. The Campaign. Yeah, that's a pretty relevant comedy these days, huh? The original Candyman and the remake of Candyman, which I actually really, really loved. That was a really great theater experience. Cape Fear, one of the earliest reviews I ever did and one of the greatest remakes of all time. And then you have the Captain America trilogy. First Avenger, loads of fun. Winter Soldier is still a top 10 MCU movie for me. And Civil War is basically just Avengers 2.5. But again, very, very fun theater experience. Can't wait to see Brave New World. That trailer looks dope. And Red Hulk looks dope. Even though Harrison Ford's not going to be able to do a lot of his own stunts in that one. Captain Marvel, mid. Just going to say that much. Captain Phillips, one of my favorite steelbooks in the collection. Look at me. I am the captain now. The card counter. Then you have the original Carrie right here. Yep, that's the original Carrie. Casablanca. Here's looking at you, kid. Absolutely a classic. Must own for any cinephile. Casino. That's a Scorsese. Yeah, it is a Scorsese movie. Why did I not remember that? Casino Royale, still my favorite James Bond movie that's out there, and it'll probably always be my favorite James Bond movie. Castaway by Robert Zemeckis, starring Tom Hanks, being filmed on the edge of Extinction Island in Survivor. Catch Me If You Can. Super underrated Spielberg movie. It's one of my absolute favorites. And this duo right here, untouchable. Love those two together. Central Intelligence, leading to some of the funniest Instagram wars between a pair of actors that I've ever seen. Challengers, way better tennis movie than Battle of the Sexes. I'll say that much. Great, great movie. Chariots of Fire, President Biden's favorite movie, per my research. Charlotte's Web, the live-action one from like 2006, starring Dakota Fanning. Then you have Chef, Jon Favreau's passion project. That's a very, very heartwarming movie. All I care about Chicago. Yeah, Billy Flynn is a bucket list role for me. Chicken Run. My girlfriend does not like Chicken Run for whatever reason. This is a trash movie. I need to get more Chucky movies in my collection. Children of the Corn, one of my favorite slipcovers that I'll ever own. I reviewed this for last year's Halloween special, and this movie still scars the hell out of me. Next up is Children of Men, Alfonso Cuarón, of course. And then you have Chinatown, starring Jack Nicholson. Next up is Christine. Then you have A Christmas Carol with Robert Zemeckis in his motion capture phase of his career, his midlife crisis. A Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Gotta watch this every single calendar year. Every single Christmas Eve, that has to be on while you have a big plate of Chinese food in front of you. Christmas Vacation, also must watch every single calendar year. And then you have Christopher Robin, a really good live-action Disney reimagining. My balloon, can we go back? Alright, then you have Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is amazing, and Prince Caspian, which is pretty underrated. I don't own Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I don't know if I ever will. The Cider House Rules. You have the original Cinderella and the remake of Cinderella, both of which I'm actually looking at reviewing pretty soon, because those anniversaries are coming up. Then you have Citizen Kane. Again, one of the most influential movies of all time. Where in the hell would cinema be without Orson Welles and his vision for this movie? It is relatively timeless, albeit with one of the biggest plot holes in cinema history. Like, how do people know that Kane's final word was Rosebud when he was living all by his lonesome? Just some food for thought. You know, not gonna dig too much deeper into that unless I review it. Civil War, which came out earlier this year, not to be confused with Captain America, which I just talked about earlier. Clear and Present Danger, of course, Harrison Ford. Click. Oh boy, why do I own this movie? Again, you just need those reminders that there are better movies on the walls behind me. And this movie, I mean, I'll give Adam Sandler and the cast credit, especially as you get into the third act. They are putting so much dramatic effort into this thing. And it actually does kind of tug at your heartstrings, involving Henry Winkler's character as the father. Oddly enough, I've taught you much, my little droogies. Clockwork Orange, would love to review that one day. Then you have Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which also includes the director's cut. This is the 30th anniversary Ultimate Edition. Closer, Then you have Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Parts 1 and Part 2. Cloverfield, one of the only found footage movies in my collection. I need to change that. You're not going to see Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity in here. Clue, such a great movie. If you've never seen that, what the hell are you even doing? Cocaine Bear, again, very fun. Coco, such an emotional roller coaster. Remember Me is still one of the greatest original songs that Disney has ever put out. It's one of the most innovative songs that they've ever put out. This is just so much heart to this one. Then you have the original Color Purple and the remake of the Color Purple in 4K, the musical version. Collateral, one of my favorites, like my all-time favorite action movies. I prefer this Michael Mann movie over Heat. Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, great leading duo. Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy, of course. Commando, well, I eat Green Berets for breakfast, and right now, I'm feeling very hungry. That's not the last Arnold Schwarzenegger impression you're going to hear in this video. Con Air, that movie sucks. The Conjuring certainly does not suck. That's a great horror movie. The Conjuring 2, which I think is even better. And The Conjuring 3, which, I thought was serviceable enough. I thought it was good. Contact, Matthew McConaughey and Jodie Foster, of course. Is that Robert Zemeckis? Yeah, it is Robert Zemeckis. I don't know why I didn't remember that. Contagion, one of the first reviews I ever put out because it was during COVID. Coraline, shout out to Lindsay. She loves that movie. Might be reviewing that for Halloween this year, guys. Corpse Bride. Then you have, what's this? Crawl, one of the better alligator movies that's out there. Haven't seen that one in a while. Crazy Heart. I think Jeff Bridges won an Oscar for that one. Crazy Rich Asians. Crazy Stupid Love, the movie that proved Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone have amazing romantic chemistry before La La Land. You have the Creed trilogy, a great legacy sequel trilogy. Then you have Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, a beautiful looking action movie if you ask me. The Crow, very interested in seeing what they do with the remake. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. Cruella, one of the most fun Disney live action reimaginings that's been put out. Very curious to see what they do if there's ever a sequel. Cujo, probably my least favorite David Fincher movie, but still very good. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Cyrano, Peter Dinklage gives a really good performance in that one. Dances with Wolves, I mean, it's way too damn long and it won an Oscar, but hey, it's in there. The Darjeeling Limited, Wes Anderson, of course. The Dark Tower, a movie I didn't really think was all that bad. I found it pretty enjoyable, actually. Dark Waters. Then you have Darkest Hour, Gary Oldman and his prosthetic makeup winning Best Actor, of course. And Daybreakers. Word to Luke Ponto for giving me the recommendation to watch this. Super underrated vampire flick. Dazed and Confused, classic. All right. Dead Poet Society. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Just reviewed these ones. I just saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's probably my favorite movie of the year so far. I've said it before, I'll say it 1,000 more times. I am on a Deadpool craze right now. Deadpool and Wolverine was so awesome, and I can't wait to add it to this collection. Tell me where your fucking boss is, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes. Gotta calm down, y'all. Death Becomes Her, really fun movie. Death on the Nile, probably the more forgettable of the Hercule Poirot trilogy starring Kenneth Branagh. What's this? Deepwater Horizon. Then you have The Deer Hunter. You want me to do it? I'll do it! Yeah, that was also referenced in Deadpool and Wolverine. Deliverance, crazy ass movie there. Then you have The Departed, the greatest Martin Scorsese movie that's out there. You didn't come here to talk, you came here to get arrested. Easily the best movie he's ever put out, if you ask me. The Descendants, phenomenal movie. That's Alexander Payne right there. Okay, then you have just the Despicable Me trilogy right here. These two movies are great, but then once you have Despicable Me 3 come into the picture and Despicable Me 4 to an extent, those movies have kind of trailed off, and they're like, okay, we should stop making these. Detroit, is that Catherine Bigelow? I don't remember. It might be Catherine Bigelow. It is Catherine Bigelow. Next up, you have The Devil Wears Prada. Classic movie right there. Die Another Day, Pierce Brosnan as Bond, of course. Die Hard, the original Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, contrary to popular belief. Hi, Dougie, The Disaster Artist. James Franco should have won the Oscar for Tommy Wiseau. Do you imagine that Oscar cameo from Tommy Wiseau? Django Unchained, my favorite Tarantino movie. I will still die on that hill. This is a phenomenal flick. These three leading performances especially, all freaking great. The man to my left is Django Freeman. He is my deputy. Then next up is Do the Right Thing on the Criterion Collection, of course. Dr. Sleep on 4K, a phenomenal sequel. Thank you, Mike Flanagan. Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, both in steelbook form. I can't wait to see what the third one has. I think it's, I don't even remember what it's going to be called. I was about to say The Wreckage of Time, but that's Shang-Chi too. And someone answer me this after the post-credit sequence. Does Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange just have a third eye from now on? Like, it's going to look very, very weird. Dodgeball, one of my favorite comedies. Learn up, ladies! Rest in peace, Rip Torn. Dog. Then you have, what's this? Don John. Donnie Darko, review that I don't know if I will ever do because that video would probably go for an hour long. Don't Breathe. I will never own the sequel because that was a piece of dog shit right there. Speaking of dog shit, you have Doom. Again, why do I own Doom? I don't know. It's fun. It's not very good, though. Next up is Doubt. Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman right there. One of my favorite Meryl Streep performances also. Dr. No. Then you have Drag Me to Hell. Sam Raimi, of course. Yeah, that is Sam Raimi, right? Yeah. Next up is Dragged Across Concrete. Dream Scenario, starring Nicolas Cage, of course. That was a recent addition. Dread. Drive. Then you have Dumb and Dumber. That movie came out 30 years ago. I don't know. Might be reviewing that. Dumb Money. That's a great movie right there. Super underrated from last year. You have the original Dumbo and the Dumbo remake, which I did not mind this one. Next up, you have the original Dune, which is excellent. And you have its sequel, Dune Part 2, which I think is even better. I saw this in theaters twice. Got even better with the repeat viewing. It's so damn good. Dungeons and Dragon Honor Among Thieves. We are never getting a sequel to this because you assholes did not buy a ticket to see it. Sorry. Dunkirk. Next up is going to be Eastern Promises. Then you have Easy A. Ed Wood, one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. It's so damn underrated if you've never seen this one. And Eddie the Eagle. Speaking of underrated sports movies, this is a good one right here. Next, you have The Edge of 17, otherwise known as the general public's introduction to Haley Steinfeld. Edge of Tomorrow. This is not called Live, Die, Repeat. It's called Edge of Tomorrow. Just throwing that out there. Do not call it incorrectly. It's false advertising. Edward Scissorhands. 8th Grade. Haven't seen this one in a while. I remember really liking that one. Elemental. A movie that is so damn good and so damn charming, but nobody saw it because it's an original idea from Pixar. And God knows we don't get enough of those anymore. Elf. A movie that you have to watch every holiday season. Elvis, a movie that should have been a tribute to Elvis the Man, but instead it was a showcase of Baz Luhrmann's so-called skill as a director. Elysium. I do like Baz Luhrmann, though, joking aside. He has put out some good stuff. The Emperor's New Groove and Kronk's New Groove. Then you have Encanto. 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 Gonna have that song stuck in my head. Enchanted. Speaking of Disney musicals, that one's a really fun one. End of Watch. Enemy. Denis Villeneuve right there. Next up is The English Patient. Then you have The Equalizer. I don't own either one of the sequels because I wasn't really a big fan of either one. Aaron Brockovich. Arguably Julia Roberts' best performance she's ever given. Escape Plan. Elliot. E.T. Of course, you gotta own E.T. It's one of the greatest family movies out there. Steven Spielberg has put together a masterpiece here. And it's also the movie that simultaneously made Reese's Pieces as popular as they are, still to this day. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Eternals. Sorry. Evan Almighty. That's a childhood movie right there. I remember watching that in theaters. Former Best Picture winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's such an original idea. It's such a euphoric experience every single time you revisit it. So damn great. Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, along with Army of Darkness to complete the trilogy, and Evil Dead Rise. This movie came out at a time when I absolutely needed a cheer-me-up last year. I was just getting over a cold. man, this movie was everything that I needed and then some. I think it was my favorite horror movie to come out last year, if I really sat here and thought about it. Then you have The Exorcist, still to this very day, and it will always be my favorite horror movie of all time. This was a true game changer for the genre when it came out over 50 years ago. And now you're going to have a legacy sequel with Mike Flanagan directing it. The Exorcist Believer, whatever that was called, that came out last year, that doesn't count as a legacy sequel. Ex Machina, then you have Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's final movie he ever put out. Next up is The Fabelmans. Absolutely love this movie. Love letter to Steven Spielberg's life and his career and his impact on film. Face Off. Let me take his face off. Gotta have that one. Fail Safe on Criterion. Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the Steelbook form. Can't wait to see Brave New World. I actually really liked this show. Not a lot of people did, but I enjoyed it. The Fall Guy, another recent addition to the collection. I loved this movie. This movie did not make nearly enough money at the box office. It didn't have the box office pull that it deserves. This was so great. You have the Best of Mickey, Disney Movie Club exclusive, rest in peace, by the way, Fantasia 2000, and Celebrating Mickey. That's a Movie Club exclusive right there. You have the Fantastic Beasts trilogy right here, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Why'd they have to recast Johnny Depp? Why'd they have to do my man dirty like that? Fantastic Mr. Fox, maybe my favorite Wes Anderson movie that's ever been put out there, unironically. Next up, you have Fargo. Then you have the only Fast and Furious movies that exist, only up to number 7. Number 8 wasn't very good. We'll never buy part 9 and won't buy part 10 and probably won't buy part 11, 12, 13, 14 either. Hobbs and Shaw was a very fun movie, albeit very stupid. Fast Times at Ridgemont High on the Criterion, of course. The Father, where Hannibal Lecter shockingly won Best Actor over Chadwick Boseman. Then you have The Fault in Our Stars, another recent addition to the collection. I remember reading this book and not being able to put it down. I thought this movie was absolutely tremendous, and it was the introduction to both Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort to the public eye. The Favorite, weird-ass movie, The Favorite. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. You want to talk about weird? This is as weird gets. Then you have Fences. Then you have Ferdinand, where you have somebody voicing the bull, but the recording studio must have been empty whenever the actor playing Ferdinand showed up, because I wouldn't have seen anybody. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of my favorites. Bueller. A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. If you watch it, you will see it. I tried on that one. Field of Dreams. That's a classic right there. My favorite David Fincher movie of all time, Fight Club. And I'm just breaking the first 2 rules of Fight Club because it deserves to be talked about, because it's a masterclass, phenomenal movie. The Fighter. Then you have Fighting with My Family, a great pro wrestling movie, albeit very historically inaccurate. My favorite Pixar movie of all time, Finding Nemo. I've sat on this for a few years now, and the more and more I think about it, this tops my list every day of the week. Then you have its sequel, Finding Dory, which I really enjoyed. I mean, I don't know if I need a third one. I mean, do you guys need a third Finding Nemo movie? I don't. Finding Neverland, really good movie right there. The Firm, Tom Cruise, of course. What's this? First Man, Damien Chazelle, Ryan Gosling, of course. Five Nights at Freddy's. I know a lot of people really did not like this movie, but I did. This was so much fun to watch in the theater. The Flash. Why did you go all the way back to 2004 to get some of the CGI effects for this? Like, why did you do that? Wasn't Michael Keaton having a cameo in there enough of a big deal? Flash Gordon. That's a dad gift for me. Flight. Then you have Flushed Away. Nobody talks about this one. This is a lot of fun. Hugh Jackman's in that one. Following, Christopher Nolan's first movie. That's a really cool time capsule. Everybody cut, damn it. Footloose. Gotta love Footloose. Ford v Ferrari, James Mangold. That's a phenomenal movie as well. The Foreigner, pretty underrated. Again, showing you Jackie Chan can do drama. Probably tops my favorite movie of all time list, like, anytime you ask me. Forrest Gump. This was the first review I put out this year. It just turned 30 years old. Happy anniversary. Like, this movie gives you everything you could ask for and then some. And speaking of movies that want to give you everything you ask for and then some, The Founder, a movie that is centered on the conception of McDonald's, which is it's the symbol of the customer service industry for a lot of people. Foxcatcher, that's a great wrestling movie, disgusting performance from Steve Carell. Fracture, another really good movie that nobody talks about anymore. These movies you have to watch every Halloween, the original Frankensteins, because who knows where the horror genre would be without these two right there. Those are glow-in-the-dark slipcovers right there as well. Gotta love those. Frankenweenie, very, very adorable flick. Freaky, 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 freaky. Everybody's introduction to Catherine Newton, who is a superstar on the rise. Free Guy, again, I'm on the Deadpool and Wolverine craze. Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds' first collaboration together to my knowledge, and it was so much fun. The French Connection, classic. Speaking of classics, Friday the 13th. And then you have Friday Night Lights, one of the better football movies that's out there. Then you have Friends, probably my favorite sitcom of all time, one of the most influential sitcoms of all time. Thank you, Matthew Perry, for your talents. Rest in peace, sir. Let's play Bamboozled. Oh, this is the best game ever! I could quote so many things, but it would take me an hour just to do that. Every single quote that I want. From Dusk Till Dawn. Then you have Frozen, the original Disney classic, one of Lindsay's favorites. Frozen 2, another one of her favorites. Then you have The Fugitive. I don't care! Tommy Lee Jones, of course. Full Metal Jacket. You could suck a golf ball through a garden hose, Private Pile. Fury. Then you have The Game on Criterion, a super confusing and elongated ending. Gangs of New York. Get Out. A masterpiece. It's been 5 years at least. You can call this movie a masterpiece now. And then you have Ghost. Patrick Swayze playing a ghost. A ghost story. A super, super interesting movie to look at. Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters Afterlife. And Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I'm never going to own that 2016 god-awful piece of garbage. Next up is The Gift. Then you have Gifted. Great Chris Evans performance in there. That was the introduction to McKenna Grace to a lot of the general public. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. David Fincher's version right there. Perfect rainy day movie, if you ask me. One of my all-time favorites, again, Gladiator. I gotta do it. The name's Maximus Decimus Meridius. Father to a murdered son. Husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Ah, yes. I mean, this movie just gets you so fired up. Did I need a Gladiator 2? Did I need a sequel? No. But you know what? That trailer came out and I am so sold on it. That movie looks dope as hell. I cannot wait. Next up is Glass in the Steelbook, where M. Night Shyamalan just lost his entire mind. Glengarry Glen Ross, Coffee is for Closers. Glory, fantastic war flick right there. One of the greatest, most influential trilogies in film history, The Godfather. These are my aunt's favorite movies of all time. At least I think they are. Godzilla from 2014. Godzilla King of the Monsters. Godzilla vs. Kong. Kong won that fight. And Godzilla times Kong, The New Empire. Yeah, that's the subtitle right there. Where is Godzilla -1 on Blu-ray? I need that. Goldeneye. Gone Baby Gone. Gone Girl. Next up is Gone in 60 Seconds. Gone with the Wind, classic. That's, frankly, I don't give a damn. The Good Dinosaur, mid-Pixar. Really like the colors on this steelbook, though. I mean, that is just beautiful. Good Morning, Vietnam. Then you have Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault, Will. It's not your fault. Goodfellas. Ah, you think I'm some sort of clown? You think I'm funny? The Goonies. First, you got to do the Truffle Shuffle. Goosebumps. Then you have The Graduate. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Then you have Gran Torino. Yeah, get off my lawn. Quintessential later Clint Eastwood. The Grand Budapest Hotel. I actually watched that in a film class in college, and I absolutely loved it. Gravity. You know, that Blu-ray that just kind of sits on your shelf because you think it looks good every once in a while. The Great Gatsby. Should Jay-Z have had a song in that one? Absolutely not. The Great Mouse Detective, a very underrated animated Disney movie. This is the greatest show. We light it up. We won't come down. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Green Book, former Best Picture winner. Do I need to own that? No, wasn't the biggest fan of it, but, you know, it's an Oscar winner. The Green Knight, that's a movie I need to give a rewatch at some point soon. The Green Mile, word to my friend Austin Putnam. I know he loves that movie. Gremlins and Gremlins 2. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie? Let me know down in the comments. The Gray, Liam Neeson, of course. Gridiron Gang, one of the few dramatic performances that Dwayne Johnson has ever given, and he's really good at it, surprisingly. Groundhog Day. Then you have Groundhog Day again. And then you have Groundhog Day... I'm just kidding, yeah. I don't have 3 copies. That was just for the joke. Oh, then you have the Guardians trilogy. This first one is still one of my all-time favorite Marvel movies. Again, it really opened my eyes to how amazing the universe can actually be. Volume 2, the more I watch it, the more I love it. Volume 3 actually might be my favorite. There's days where I think this is the best one because it was such a great, heartfelt send-off and finale to my favorite Marvel team up there. Love it. Absolutely love that trilogy. Hacksaw Ridge. Dear God, please let me get one more. Then you have you have a set of Halloween movies right here. Thank God the Rob Zombie ones are not in there. Halloween from 2018. Halloween Kills. Yeah, that movie lives up to its title. And then The Happening. Yeah, you guys thought that I added Halloween Ends to this collection? Yeah, you're delusional. That movie sucks. The Happening also sucks, but at least it's entertaining. These bees are dying all over the place. Come on, guys. Take an interest in science. Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day to You. We'll probably never get Happy Death Day Part 3 because that sequel didn't make enough money. The Harry Potter collection. I gotta upgrade this set to a 4K at some point soon. My favorite franchise growing up. Happy Gilmore. one of the better products placements for Subway that I've ever seen. The Hateful Eight. Love the Hateful Eight to no end. Haunted Mansion. This is the superior version of the Haunted Mansion movie. That 2003 movie sucks. I'm sorry, Jacob Hubbard, but I'm telling the truth here. The Haunting of Hill House. Then you have Heat. Oh, man. Quintessential Michael Mann right there. Then you have The Heat. Happens every time in these Blu-ray collections, doesn't it? Hell or High Water. You have Hellboy and Hellboy 2. I'm never going to own the remake that came out a few years back because it's god-awful. The Help, one of the best female ensembles ever assembled for a big-budget movie. Her, strange-ass movie. Hercules. Then you have Hereditary, one of the best horror movies to come out in the past decade. Like, the beheading scene still sits with me to this very day. Hidden Figures. That's one I need to rewatch at some point soon. The Hobbit trilogy. Desolation of Smaug is the best one. Hocus Pocus. This is one you gotta watch every Halloween. Didn't really like the sequel, but that was a Disney Plus exclusive, so thankfully I'll never have to buy that one. The Holdovers. This is a brand new Christmas classic that came out last year, and I can't wait to watch it this holiday season and see how it holds up. So damn good. Holes. Digging up the hole. Dig it. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's a childhood movie right there. Hook. I hate Peter Pan. Hey guys, check this out. Home Alone 1 and 2. Quintessential Christmas movies right there. Hoosiers. Hot Fuzz. Edgar Wright, of course. Then you have Hot Rod. My name is Rico and I like to party. My name is Dave and I like to party. No, Dave, what did I just finish telling Rico? I'm the only one who parties. Love Andy Samberg. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the cartoon. And then the live-action Ron Howard movie, which, yeah, you know. I liked it as a kid. I recognize how bad it is, though. Then you have the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. I am very, very scared of the live-action remake. Like, how the hell are they going to do that? Why are they following a Disney formula? Speaking of Disney, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Probably the most underrated Disney animated classic that is out there. Love that movie to pieces. So good. Then you have all the Hunger Games movies. You have the original 4 and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I actually it wasn't too bad. Third act kind of went a little bit too long for my liking, but I liked it. Hunt for Red October. The Hurt Locker, former Best Picture winner, Hurt Locker. Then you have The Hustler and The Color of Money, the sequel to The Hustler right there. Tom Cruise joining Paul Newman right there. That's a dream team. I, Tonya. Then you have, what is this? The Ides of March. And you have The Illusionist. Came out the same year as The Prestige, and a lot of people confuse this movie for The Prestige. The Imitation Game, a movie I would love to review at some point soon. Next up is In Bruges. Phenomenal flick if you've never seen it. Then you have In the Heart of the Sea, starring Chris Hemsworth. And it was the biggest mainstream introduction to Tom Holland that you're going to see. In the Heights, one of my favorite musical films to come out in recent memory. Inception. Let me ask you something. Just a test. Think back to your dreams and think back to a movie of your dreams. And this is probably up there. One of Christopher Nolan's best. The Incredible Hulk, I like Edward Norton in the role. Next up is The Incredibles and The Incredibles 2. Happy 20th anniversary to this one. Hint, hint. I'll be reviewing that later this year. Independence Day. I gotta call my lawyer. The Indiana Jones Complete Adventures Collection, the first 4 movies, and Dial of Destiny, which, you know, yeah. Arrivederci. Inglourious Bastards. Listen, this is one of my favorite Tarantino flicks that he's ever put out. Brad Pitt is dynamite in this one. But to be quite honest with you, this movie would not have worked had it not been for Christoph Waltz's involvement in his Best Supporting Actor turn. Him being fluent in 4 different languages definitely paid off for this movie. It was so great. Inherent Vice, Inside Llewyn Davis, Inside Out in the really beautiful yellow steelbook. I cannot wait to buy Inside Out 2 because it was such a fantastic movie. The Insider. Then you have Insidious, Insidious 2, and Insidious 3. I don't own any of the other ones. Probably for the best. Insomnia. Talk about underrated Christopher Nolan. Speaking of Nolan, is Interstellar. The more I watch it, the more I come to love it and respect it. The Interview. Katy Perry's your favorite. You don't have to lie anymore. Interview with the Vampire. Then you have Into the Wild, super fascinating movie and a fascinating book as well. Really, really compelling, compelling reasons, I guess, and theories as to why this guy did what he did. And Into the Woods. Into the Woods and Out of the Woods. Then we have Invincible, pretty underrated sports movie if you ask me. The Invisible Man, the best movie of 2020 with an asterisk next to it for obvious reasons. The Irishman on Criterion. Shout out to my friend Amanda, who loves that movie. The Iron Claw. Okay. This movie, especially from wrestling history enthusiasts, not huge fans of this movie because this movie cut out a whole brother who had a very similar tragic story. But man, the craftsmanship of this film cannot be denied. And the fact that Zac Efron was not nominated for Best Actor for portraying Kevin, sin. Sin of all sins, if you ask me. The Iron Giant. Then we have Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and Iron Man 3. Or if you're talking 2024 right now, Doctor Doom 1, Doctor Doom 2, and Doctor Doom 3. You know, again, we'll see what happens. I'm fine with the casting choice. The Island, one of the 2 Michael Bay movies that's actually great and not terrible. Isle of Dogs. Then you have, It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. Those are awesome. Bill Skarsgård, fantastic Pennywise. It Comes at Night. Then you have It Follows. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there supposed to be a sequel in development? Someone tell me in the comments. It's a Wonderful Life, quintessential holiday movie. You kind of have to watch it every year. Italian Job. And then you have, what is this? Jack Reacher. Don't own the sequel because I didn't really like it all that much. Jackie Brown, one of the earlier Tarantino movies, to my recollection. James and the Giant Peach, Henry Selick movie. That's a childhood classic right there. Jaws, oh well, what do you fear, Spanish ladies? Jennifer's Body, great movie. Jerry Maguire. Did you know that the human head weighs 8 pounds? Jingle All the Way. Put the cookie down! Joe and John Wick. Do not touch this guy's pets, ever. And then here's John Wick 2, John Wick 3 Parabellum, and John Wick Chapter 4, which honestly might be the best out of all of them. One of the better action movies to come out over the past 5 years. Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi, of course. Great film. Joker in the Steelbook, phenomenal rated R comic book movie. I'm very curious to see what they do with the sequel. Again, do we need Joker Folie à Deux? Probably not, but it looks good enough. Judas and the Black Messiah. Judy. Jumanji. One of my favorite Blu-rays in the collection because it's the game board. I will always love that piece. Welcome to the Jungle and The Next Level. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, The Next Level. The Jungle Book cartoon and the Jungle Book remake, which a lot of people think is superior. Next up is Jungle Cruise. Again, unironically, Dwayne Johnson's Skipper might be my favorite character introduction of anybody in cinema. Because literally, it's just a ride on the Jungle Cruise, and it's glorious. He's making dad jokes. What else do you want? Juno? Here we go. Jurassic Park. This is word to my friend Jacob Hubbard. This is, in his opinion, the greatest movie of all time. It's a good pick, man. It really is. Lost World, underrated. Jurassic Park 3, not very good. Jurassic World, which I thought was fun enough. Fallen Kingdom is a piece of garbage. Dominion, one of the most disappointing movies to come out over the past couple years or so. Just Mercy, this movie's actually really great. Next up is Zack Snyder's Justice League. So much better than Justice League. I'll tell you that much. The Karate Kid. I just finished the final season, part 1 of Cobra Kai. That is one of the greatest legacy sequels of all time, and I'm so glad that show exists because it gives justice to this guy. One of the most tragic stories I think ever put in nostalgic cinema. Then you have the Kung Fu Kid as well, which is a decent enough follow-up. Great Jackie Chan performance. And next you have Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2. Listen, when you have a villain who's named Motherfucker in your movie, chances are I'm gonna really, really like it. Kicking and Screaming, that's a childhood classic for me right there. Kill Bill 1 and 2. Tarantino, of course. Kindergarten Cop. Bring the Blu-ray back to the carpet. Bring it back to the carpet. Peter Jackson's King Kong. Kong Skull Island. Next up is The King of Comedy. Great performance from Robert De Niro in that one. King Richard, Will Smith's performance absolutely slaps in that one. The King of Staten Island. Good job, Pete Davidson. Yeah, that's a really good passion project for you. The King's Speech. Then you have the Kingsman movies, 1 and 2. I don't really like the prequel, so I don't really have a desire to ever get it. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, one of the most underrated movies that I've ever seen in my life. It's so freaking great. Look up the word idiot in the dictionary, and you know what you'll find? Picture of me. No, the definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are. Knives Out. Put Glass Onion on Blu-ray, please. Please, I'm begging you. Knock at the Cabin. I have said it before and I'll say it again. Shyamalan's best movie since Signs. I love that movie. I don't care what anybody says. Knocked Up. That's a great comedy right there. One of my favorite Seth Rogen movies. Kubo and the Two Strings. That's a Laika movie right there. Then you have all 4 Kung Fu Panda movies. I had the trilogy for the longest time. I added 4 not too long ago. 4 was a lot of fun. And Jack Black's cover of Hit Me Baby One More Time, that'll live rent-free in my head. LA Confidential. And then you have La La Land. I actually rewatched this one not too long ago with Lindsay. This still holds up as one of my favorite movies of all time. And listen, I know the joke is you can end it after their visit to the Griffith Observatory, but the movie doesn't work without those 2 acts. It's one of my favorite musical movies that's ever been put to the screen. One of my favorite movies that's ever been put to the screen, period. Lady Bird. Fantastic movie right there if you've never seen it. Speaking of fantastic movies, The Last Duel. This is so underrated. Nobody's talking about it anymore. Last Night in Soho, another great movie from Edgar Wright. His first horror movie, and he freaking delivered, man. This is The Last of Us. I think this is the undisputed king of video game adaptations, if you ask me. I cannot wait to see season 2. No other video game adaptation that's come out, especially recently, has come close to touching that. The Last Samurai? A League of Their Own. Of course you gotta have a League of Their Own. There's no crying in baseball. No crying. Legally Blonde. Nikos did leave a share CD in the pool house one time. The Legend of Tarzan, which is incredibly forgettable. The Lego Movie 1. Everything is awesome. There's the second part. Lego Batman movie. That one bombed like crazy. Let Him Go. I watched that one during the pandemic, and it was almost an empty theater. Lethal Weapon collection. And then you have Liar Liar. That's a classic Jim Carrey movie right there. Life of Pi, one of the coolest like glossy slipcovers you'll ever see. The Lighthouse. Oh my god. This is, in my opinion, my favorite Robert Eggers movie that he's ever put out. It's just so damn weird. You gotta see it to believe it. Lights Out. Lightyear, which is not a bad movie, guys. I really enjoy that one. Lilo and Stitch. Don't remake this one, but they're going through with it anyway, and it's gonna suck. Lincoln, probably one of, if not the best movie that's ever been made about a U.S. president, a historical movie at least, and based on a true story. Daniel Day-Lewis immersing himself so hard in this role, almost unrecognizable. Like, you see Abraham Lincoln on the big screen. Nuts. Great direction from Spielberg as well. And here's The Lincoln Lawyer. Lion. Then you have The Lion King, which I just updated to a 4K edition. I just reviewed this movie with Lindsay. Classic Disney movie. Then you have the remake. Yeah, I own it on 4K. What of it? This is Lisa Frankenstein. That's a really fun movie. Little Mermaid, which I also just upgraded to 4K as well. That is a classic. And I did not hate the remake. I'm being completely honest. That was a lot of fun to watch. Little Miss Sunshine, a perfectly structured movie. Little shop of horrors. You'll be a dentist. I need to calm down. That was Little Women, the remake. Logan, a great solo X-Men movie on the anchor being himself, Hugh Jackman, in his final performance. You never saw him again after that. Logan Lucky. Then you have Loki Season 1. You need to put out Season 2, because I want to complete that. The Lone Ranger. This isn't a very good movie, if I'm being honest. But think about this. If the Pirates of the Caribbean movies didn't exist, this movie I feel like would have done a lot better, like all those years ago. Lone Survivor. That's a great movie there. Long Shot. Good romantic comedy. You guys should watch that one. The Longest Yard. This movie turns 50 years old this year. I'm going to review this once the NFL regular season kicks off, so stay tuned for that. Looper. And then here's the extended edition box set of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Hey, Goldborn, these are the ones you should be watching, yeah? Good. Shout out to Zack Attack. And then, of course, I have all the theatrical cuts in their steelbooks. This is one of the greatest trilogies to ever be put to the screen, in all honesty. Like, you can't ever go wrong with Lord of the Rings. The Lost City, massively underrated rom-com. Lost in Translation. Love, Simon. That's really adorable movie right there. Speaking of adorable, you have Luca. Again, it came out in Disney Plus. That movie never really got a fair shake because it didn't get a theatrical run. Lyle Crocodile. We're just on a run of cute movies right here. Machete is absolutely not cute. Then you have all 4 Mad Max movies. There they are. This is the best one, for sure. Can't wait to own Furiosa. More of you should have seen that. I'm so mad we're probably not getting Mad Max 5 because Furiosa did not do well at the box office. Then you have Madagascar, all 3 of them right there. I actually don't know which one's the best. I think it actually might be Europe's Most Wanted, if I'm really thinking about it. Magnificent Seven, the original, and the remake, directed by Antoine Fuqua, which is a lot of fun. Malcolm X on Criterion. Maleficent and Maleficent 2. Why are these in my collection? Why are they back in these videos? I don't know. Lindsay really likes them. Not trying to shift the blame or anything. I'm just telling the truth. Then you have Malignant. Great James Wan movie right there. A Man Called Otto. Man of Steel. Can't wait to see what James Gunn does with his Superman, David Corenswet. Man with No Name trilogy. Of course, classic Clint Eastwood westerns. And Manchester by the Sea. If you guys really need a cheer me up movie, I recommend this one. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Both seasons of The Mandalorian that have been released on Blu-ray so far. I'm waiting on Mandalorian Season 3 to come out on Blu-ray. Beautiful looking steelbooks there. Super Mario Brothers movie. Peaches. Marriage Story. Again, you want a happy ending? You want a really good feeling movie? That's the one right there. Marry Me. Good romantic comedy right there. Serviceable enough. The Martian. Loved this movie. I can't wait to watch that again. I really want to. Mary Poppins. I think of all the Disney movies, this is in my top 3 for sure. Just doesn't get any better than that, does it? Mary Poppins Returns, I actually thought was really good. The Marvels I also had a lot of fun with in the theater. Everybody who said Marvel was dead when that movie came out, they're liars. Absolutely liars. Especially now that Deadpool and Wolverine is out. And those people are like, yes, Marvel is back now. Man, where have you guys been since Endgame? Mask. The Mask. This just turned 30 years old. Quintessential Jim Carrey. Maybe I'll review that. Let me know down in the comments if you want to hear me talk about that. Master and Commander. Matchstick Men. Then you have Matilda. Danny DeVito directed, by the way. The Matrix and The Matrix, what is this? Resurrections? Yep, Matrix Resurrections. Yeah, I own that. The original Mean Girls, I have not yet purchased the musical version of Mean Girls that came out earlier this year, but I'm looking to add that one. Meatballs. Spaz, spaz, spaz. Meet the Parents. Megamind. Megan. This movie blew up on TikTok when it came out, that's for sure. Now everybody's all hyped for the sequel. Memento. Good job, Hollywood, for not remaking this masterpiece, because you can't touch the original. No way, no how. Men in Black trilogy. Will Smith's performance slaps in that one as well. The Menu. Really, really, really great performances from Ralph Fiennes, Nicholas Hoult, and Anya Taylor-Joy. Really makes you want to eat a cheeseburger and just any sort of food in general. Actually reminds me a lot of The Bear, which they haven't put out on Blu-ray either. Watching this and The Bear simultaneously, it will make you never want to go to a restaurant ever again. On either side, in the staff or as a guest. Then you have Midway, $1 Million Baby. This movie is depressing. I've only watched that movie a handful of times in my life. Minari, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who just put out Twisters. Minority Report, one of my favorite Spielberg movies. It's one of the most fun that he's ever put out. Les Miserables, and I am Javert. Misery, one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. The only Stephen King adaptation to ever win an Oscar. Kathy Bates' performance right there. Rest in peace, James Caan as well. Missing, the sequel to Searching, which you'll see in a little bit. Missing Link. The first 5 Mission Impossible movies in this little box set right here. Mission Impossible Fallout, which I think is the best one. And Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Loved this movie. That train sequence at the end was it was a spectacle. That's the best I could say about it. The Mitchells versus the Machines. Good job to Netflix for putting out a physical media copy of that. Moana. What can I say except you're welcome? Can't wait for that sequel. Molly's Game. Moneyball. Phenomenal movie right there. Monkey Man. Word to Luke Ponto. He loves that movie. A Monster Calls. That's a good movie. Really good movie there. Monster House. Childhood there. That's all I can really say about it. Monsters, Inc. Phenomenal Pixar, obviously. Monsters University, which is literally every college comedy you've seen, just in Pixar form. Pixar clothes. Monsters vs. Aliens. Then you have Monty Python and the Holy Grail. 'Tis but a flesh wound. You've lost an arm. No, I haven't. Best scene in the entire movie. Shout out to my brother. And then here's Moon Knight in the beautiful... Look at that steelbook, guys. That is breathtaking. I mean, love that thing. Can't wait for season 2. Moonlight, Best Picture winner the year La La Land came out. Moonrise Kingdom, for a lot of people, probably the best Wes Anderson movie that he's ever put out. It's so, so good. Moonstruck, Night at the Museum 1, Night at the Museum 2, and Night at the Museum 3. Childhood. I love those movies. I don't care what you say. The Night Before, really, really raunchy, funny Christmas movie. The Night House. Then you have Night of the Living Dead, classic. I gotta upgrade to the Criterion version there. Had that one for I don't even know how long. Night Shift. Then you have Mortal Kombat. Get over here. This is actually very out of order. Mother. Crazy movie. Not to be confused with Taylor Swift for a lot of people being Mother. Moulin Rouge. Then we have Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Doubtfire. Pretty unlikable main character, but good performance by Robin Williams, of course. Mud. Then you have Mulan 1 and 2. The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Gotta love those. It's so bad. Munich. The Muppet Movie, the original from the 70s. Then you have The Muppets Take Manhattan. And a double feature, Muppet Treasure Island and The Great Muppet Caper. I need to add more Muppet movies to my collection. Murder on the Orient Express. Then you have My Bodyguard. And My Cousin Vinny, one of my favorite comedies. Then we have Mystic River. Really, really solid movie there. Napoleon Dynamite. Give me some of your thoughts. No, go find your own. National Treasure. The Natural. Nebraska. Alexander Payne right there. Neighbors. Then we have Network. This is News of the World. I haven't seen that movie since it came out. I think I need to give that another watch. Newsies. The Nice Guys. You want to talk about underrated? This is one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen in a theater. It was just, everybody was laughing. Can't go wrong with that one. Nightcrawler. Probably will be reviewing this movie soon. I can't wait to revisit it with you guys. Nightmare Alley. That's a really good Guillermo del Toro flick. Lindsay's favorite movie of all time, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I have so many vivid memories of going to the 30th anniversary screening last year at the El Cap when we were down in Los Angeles. Such a fun experience there. It's one I'll never forget. Nightmare on Elm Street. Then we have No Country for Old Men. Great Best Picture winner. No Hard Feelings. A lot of people had some polarizing movie right there. No Time to Die, really good Bond movie. Noah, it's an interesting watch right there. Nobody, I'm hearing there's going to be a sequel coming out to this guy. Then we have Nocturnal Animals, another really good Jake Gyllenhaal picture. Then we have Nomadland, Best Picture winner in the Error 404 year. Nope, this was my favorite movie from a couple years ago. And you know what? I think I still stand by that. This is so freaking entertaining still. It's like the perfect, if The Fabelmans was because of the influence of Steven Spielberg and it was about the influence, Nope is the result of that influence. It felt very Spielbergian in a lot of ways. Then we have North by Northwest, Hitchcock, of course. The Northman looks great on Blu-ray. And then we have Now You See Me 1, Now You See Me 2. Do I need a Now You See Me 3? I don't know, but these are fun guilty pleasure movies. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Say what you want about Star Wars and say what you want about this product right here. I had a lot of fun with this show. As a big fan of Revenge of the Sith, that made me very happy. Oculus, such an underrated scary movie. The Oceans trilogy, it's a nice little box set right there. Then we have The Odd Couple. Great comedy. Neil Simon, of course. Old. Not very good. Old School. Old Yeller. Sad ending that everybody knows about. I'm reviewing the situation. Oliver. That's an underrated musical nobody ever talks about anymore. The Omen collection. On the Waterfront. Then we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Maybe top 3 Tarantino movies if I really thought about it in terms of overall quality. Shout out to Jacob Hubbard as well. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is one of his favorite movies ever, and for good reason. 1 Hour Photo. One Night in Miami on Criterion. Then we have Only the Brave, another great firefighter movie, just like Backdraft. Onward on 4K. I may be one of the few people that adores this movie. It's so much fun. Especially as someone who grew up with the wizardry type of franchise movies. What more can I say about Oppenheimer that hasn't already been said? Best Picture winner from last year, very well deserved. Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr. both winning Oscars for their performances in this. It's a 3-hour movie. Did not feel like a 3-hour movie when I watched it in the theater and the handful of times that I've rewatched it since then. This may be one of Nolan's best movies in years, and I can't wait to keep revisiting it over and over and over again. One of the most chilling endings I think of all time. The Other Guys. Then we have The Others. Next is Okay, let me explain myself. The only reason why I have this is because this movie was so great. So, thanks, Mike Flanagan. And then The Outsiders. Everybody forgets that Francis Ford Coppola directed this movie. Great coming-of-age movie. Over the Hedge, again, childhood. Best wishes going out to Bruce Willis, the voice of RJ. I'm pulling for him so hard. Overlord. Pain and Gain, again, it's a Michael Bay movie that reminds me that there are better movies on the shelf right here, so that's why I have it. And The Rock's in it. Gotta love The Rock. Paddington and Paddington 2. Adore those movies. So good. Paranorman, maybe my favorite Leica feature that they've ever put out. Awesome movie right here. Parasite. Bong Joon-ho's next movie is going to be a smash hit. Here's hoping that people pull through at the box office. Passengers. That's an alright movie. The Patriot. Patriot Games. Patriots Day. Then we have, what is this? Oh, Peacemaker, Season 1. I can't wait for Season 2 to come out. But why is there just a massive gap where the star should be? It's almost like you can't really see him. Then you have The Peanut Butter Falcon. Speaking of wrestling, great film right there. Maybe Shia LaBeouf's best performance he's ever put out. The Peanuts movie, adorable. Perks of Being a Wallflower, another really good coming-of-age movie. The Pet Sematary original, and what I think is scarier, the remake of Pet Sematary. The remake of Pete's Dragon. I don't own the original. I don't ask me why. I just haven't gotten it yet. The Peter Pan movie, of course. Classic, obviously. Pig, one of Nicolas Cage's comeback performances. The original Pinocchio, the remake was trash, but thankfully this one always exists. So good. And this one might be even better. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio on Criterion. That's everything that I want a Pinocchio movie to be. It was so freaking deranged. And then you have all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies right here. That's the best one, by far. And nothing else will come close. The Place Beyond the Pines, Derek Cianfrance, of course. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the quintessential Thanksgiving movie for a lot of people. Planet of the Apes, the originals. You maniacs! You burned it up! The trilogy, the Caesar trilogy that came out. Can't wait to own Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes as well when that comes out in a couple weeks. It was so damn good. The Pledge. Then we have Pocahontas. One of the more boring Disney movies that's ever out, but it's Disney, so I gotta own that. Point Break. It was never about the money, man. It was about us against the system. I am an FBI agent. Woo! Yeah, Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Need a few of those to get through this. The Polar Express. Again, Robert Zemeckis was going through a bit of a midlife crisis with his motion capture phase. The original Poltergeist. I hear there's a remake, but that can't be possible, right? Poor Things. Phenomenal movie. Emma Stone's win of the Oscar last year, so well deserved. She already has 2 to her credit. I could see her winning a 3rd down the line. We'll see. Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. Really funny movie. The Post, The Power of the Dog, the Academy's favorite movie of 2021. Predator, Get to the Chopper! Predestination. Premium Rush. Then we have The Prestige. Probably Nolan's most underrated feature that he's ever put out. Great leading performances from everybody, honestly. Prey, again, can't wait to see what Dan Trachtenberg does next as a director. The Prince of Egypt, great movie there. And then you have The Princess and the Frog. I'm almost there. I'm curious to see what the Bayou Adventure is like. I'm not hearing good things about the Disney World version, but hopefully Disneyland's a little bit better. The Princess Bride. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Anybody want a peanut? Before bromances was the popular thing to look for in movies, this probably contained the first ever bromance between Fezzik and Inigo, Andre the Giant and Mandy Patinkin together. Dynamite. Rest in peace to Andre the Giant, by the way. Prisoners. I gotta give this one a rewatch at some point soon because I love that movie. It's so damn good. I wanna be a producer. Will Ferrell also playing a Nazi playwright. Spoilers without context. It's hilarious. Prometheus. This is another one of those movies that I'm going to review in the build-up to Romulus, so look out for that. Promising Young Woman, one of my favorite movies of 2020. I remember watching this at the drive-in. It was so much fun. Probably the worst Blu-ray cover ever. Like, why couldn't you just have had Carey Mulligan in that poster that you saw of her with all the lipstick of the title that's written there? Like, it's so easy, guys. Proof, The Protege, which I don't even remember that I owned and I watched. Psycho, one of the most influential scary movies of all time. It's one of the greatest scary movies of all time. Alfred Hitchcock and the care that he took in the presentation of this movie, making sure that the twist was not revealed in advance. Like, it's unheard of. And still to this day, it's unheard of. You never really hear of many movies nowadays that keep that many tight-lit secrets. Public Enemies, maybe except for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of course. But in terms of horror, you never really see that anymore. Pulp Fiction. Okay, this is a classic movie. It turns 30 years old this year. I will be reviewing this soon. I'm actually working out a fun little collab with another YouTuber regarding this movie, so stay tuned for that one. That should be a lot of fun. Puss in Boots on 4K, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which I actually liked a little more. The Quantum of Solace, otherwise known as Forgettable James Bond Daniel Craig. The Quick and the Dead. Quiet Place 1. And Quiet Place 2, still one of the best and most unique ideas for a scary movie ever. Can't wait to own the prequel. Raging Bull. Then we have Rain Man. I reviewed this movie last year. Phenomenal. Raising Arizona, one of my... Actually, I was talking to a coworker about this the other day. What is my favorite Nicolas Cage performance? It might be his performance in Raising Arizona. He's so good in that. The Rambo collection. Rango. Then we have Ransom. Give me back my son! Gotta do that every time. Ratatouille, one of my favorite Pixar movies and one of the most perfect endings to any movie, I think. Then we have Ray, Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles. I think he won the Oscar that year. I could be wrong. Raya and the Last Dragon, such an underrated Disney movie. Love it. Then we have Ready or Not, so much fun. Directed by the same people who did Abigail, I believe. Ready Player One, still one of my favorite steelbooks that I'll ever own, probably. I'm curious to see what the sequel looks like. Rear Window, another anniversary this year. Might be reviewing that down the line. We'll see. Red Dragon. Anthony Hopkins looks like he's a million years old in that, and it's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, so that's distracting. Remember the Titans. Ain't no mountain high enough. Requiem for a Dream. Then we have Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's debut picture. The Revenant. I told the story about how I had to use the restroom halfway through this movie when I saw it in the theaters, and I didn't want to miss a single beat of this thing. And sure enough, most of the sound design was a bunch of waterfalls. So, thanks, guys. The Ring, one of the creepiest movies I think I've ever seen. Rise of the Guardians, a secret Christmas movie right there. Risky Business. Road to Perdition. Robin Hood, the Disney version. The best Robin Hood movie, in my opinion, even though Kevin Costner does not do an English accent. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Rest in peace to Alan Rickman, by the way, playing the Sheriff of Nottingham. One of my favorite performances of his. RoboCop. We're going to the Rock. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Michael Bay's best movie. And that will never change. He cannot make a better movie than that. The Rocketeer. It's gonna be a long, long time. Rocket Man. The Rocky franchise, the main six. I reviewed all those movies last year. Let's do the time warp again. Castles don't have phones, asshole. Rogue One. Then we have Room, not to be confused with the Tommy Wiseau disaster piece. Rope. Rosemary's Baby on Criterion. And Rounders. The Royal Tenenbaums, Wes Anderson, of course. Rudy. I need to calm down. The Rundown, pee in your pants. Now move. Rushmore. The Sandlot. Masterpiece right here. One of my favorite coming-of-age movies of all time. Camp Out. The Santa Claus trilogy, Disney Movie Club exclusive, R.I.P. Saturday Night Fever. Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk, it's Sausage Party. No Time to Talk. Saving Mr. Banks. Saving Private Ryan. Still the greatest war movie to ever be released, if you ask me. The 7-film collection of Saw. Then we skip ahead to Saw 10, which is excellent. And then you have Spiral. It's there. Say hello to my little friend. Gotta love Scarface. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. When are we getting a sequel to that? I'd love to see one. Scavenger Hunt. One of my favorite comedies from the 70s. That was childhood right there. Schindler's List. Masterpiece. What else is there to say? Again, it amazes me how Steven Spielberg put this movie out and Jurassic Park within the same calendar year. If you need further proof as to why that man is the greatest director of all time, look no further. School of Rock, my favorite David Linklater movie, Stick It to the Man. Scorpion King. Talk about guilty pleasures. That's one right there. Then we have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Yeah, I even have my own skate team. The Scream collection. Scream 4 or Screforum. Scream 5. And then right here you have Scream 6. Whew, we're almost done, guys. Hope y'all are still with us. Searching. Great movie there. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That is a glossy looking slipcover right there. Secret Window. Why was that sticky? Then we have Selma. Next up is 7. What's in the box? What's in the fucking box? Love that. 7 Psychopaths. Then we have The Shallows. Oh, here we go. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Can't wait until they announce this sequel because I loved this movie. It was so good. Who says that Marvel's dead? The Shape of Water. Then we have Shaun of the Dead. Probably the best of the Cornetto trilogy, and it may be my favorite Edgar Wright movie the more I think about it. Shawshank Redemption, one of the greatest movies of all time. This won the Best of the 90s tournament that I did with Ryan O'Toole a couple years back. I'm going to be reviewing it this year. I can't wait to bring that to you. Shazam 1, which I had a lot of fun with, and Shazam Fury of the Gods, yeah, it's there. She Said. Next up is Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows. Red Rum. Little pigs, let me come in. I never heard a hair on his goddamned head. I love the little son of a bitch. Rest in peace, Shelley Duvall, by the way. So sad to hear that news. The Shrek quadrilogy, soon to not be a quadrilogy anymore. I'm so excited for Shrek 5. Can't freaking wait. Shutter Island, Scorsese, of course. Then we have Sicario. That's Denis Villeneuve, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Then we have Sideways, probably my favorite Alexander Payne movie if The Holdovers didn't exist. Signs influenced so many people doing these YouTube reviews that you see, just like me, just like Jacob Hubbard, just like Chris Stuckman. A lot of them were influenced by Signs. Silence. And then Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice. I ate dinner watching this movie with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. How did Anthony Hopkins do that? Silver Linings Playbook, the movie that won Jennifer Lawrence an Oscar. A Simple Favor. I hear we're getting a sequel to this one, but I haven't heard anything aside from just like pre-production rumors. The Simpsons movie. The Sin City. Then you have Sing 1 and Sing 2. Yeah, those are Illumination Entertainment. You kind of know what to expect. This is a phenomenal movie. Sinister. It would be my favorite Scott Derrickson scary movie and then The Black Phone came out, and I was like, The Black Phone was better than that. 16 Candles, The Sixth Sense, I See Dead People. Still one of the greatest twists in movie history. Skyfall, Sky High, Bruce Campbell as a gym teacher, Kurt Russell as your father. What could go wrong? Skyscraper. Oh, that movie sucks. Sleepers. Then we have Sleeping Beauty. Classic Disney movie right there. Sleepless in Seattle. Your Annie, Sleepy Hollow. Pretty bad visual effects, but, you know, it's still a fun enough movie to watch on Halloween time. Slumdog Millionaire. Next is Snakes on a Plane. I'm not going to quote it right now. You couldn't pay me to. Snatch. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Probably one of my favorite Disney movies ever. It was one of my most rewatched Disney movies as a kid. Snowpiercer. Bong Joon-ho, of course. Social Network right here. There's days where I think this is my favorite Fincher movie, and then I remember Fight Club and Seven both exist. Solo. Probably would have been better as a show, honestly. I mean, it kind of felt a little bit rushed on a rewatch. Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I actually thought was better. Sorry to Bother You. Soul. This is one of my favorite Pixar movies, and I get the complaints now. Like, the most popular criticism that I hear nowadays regarding Soul is that Joe Gardner was not in his human form nearly enough. And I get that. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what the human form of Joe Gardner even looks like. The story and the content there moved me so deeply. I always described this as It's a Wonderful Life with an inside-out complex. Great Pixar flick right there. I would have loved to have seen that on the big screen, and I'm so mad at myself that I didn't pull the trigger on that last January. Sound of Metal on Criterion, great movie there. The Hills Are Alive. Yeah, I gave that movie a second chance not too long ago, and yeah, I'm caving in. That movie's great. Source Code, South Park. Oh, South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. Southpaw. Then we have Spaceballs. It's Raspberry. Space Jam. Let's play some basketball. Let's not play some basketball on a new legacy here with LeBron James. I didn't hate that movie. Spectre, Speed. I just reviewed this not too long ago. I've said all I needed to say about it in that review. There's a bomb on the bus. Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi trilogy. Spider-Man 2 is the best one. Then you have the Andrew Garfield ones, which, yeah. And then you have these guys, the Home trilogy with Tom Holland. No Way Home, this one, Guardians 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine are the best MCU movies post-Endgame. Sticking by that. Then you have Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, which I actually thought was better. Spies in Disguise. Why the hell do I own that? Why do I own Spies in Disguise? Then you have Spirited Away, probably the quintessential Studio Ghibli picture. Split, probably James McAvoy's greatest performance ever. SpongeBob 1 and 2, and then here's SpongeBob 3. Curious to see if they put out any other SpongeBob movies. That was always my favorite cartoon. Spotlight. Spy. Losing it a little bit here, guys. The Spy Who Loved Me. Next up is Stand By Me, one of my favorite coming-of-age movies of all time, one of my most rewatched movies of all time. This is one that I'd love to talk about with you guys down the line. Then we have A Star Is Born, the remake, depressing-ass ending. The Star Trek reboot trilogy with Pine and Quinto. The prequel collection of Star Wars there. Revenge of the Sith is the best one, by far. The original Star Wars that everybody loved and everybody was introduced to. A lot of people grew up loving movies because of these three. Empire Strikes Back is still one of the greatest sequels ever. Then we have, speaking of sequels, yeah, these three that did not really have much of a roadmap. Step Brothers, one of my favorite comedies of all time. Steve Jobs. Then we have, what's this? Stir of Echoes, starring Kevin Bacon. I don't own enough of his movies. Straight Outta Compton. Strange World, a lot of people probably forgot that movie existed. Strays. That movie was actually really funny. Stronger. And then the original Suicide Squad from 2016, David Ayer. This movie came out at a time when I needed to cheer me up, and I'm grateful that this movie was there to make me forget about the events of my life at the time. And then James Gunn put this piece of awesomeness out and put David Ayers' version to shame. Sully. Clint Eastwood did that one. Super 8. I remember watching that one in theaters. Super Bad, definitely not a bad movie. The Superman 2, Richard Donner cut, and Superman Returns. Meh. Can't wait to see David Cornsweet do the role. Most underrated musical movie out there, Sweeney Todd. Tim Burton did that one. Johnny Depp was phenomenal in the role. Swiss Army Man. Daniel Radcliffe playing a dead guy. Sword in the Stone. That kid went through puberty while he was recording it, and you can definitely tell in the edit. Synchronic. Then we have Tag. Shout out to my friend Caitlin. She loves that movie. Taken. I have a very particular set of skills. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. The Talented Mr. Ripley, which influenced The Room. Look it up. Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Or Ricky Bobby. Tangled. Tarzan. Might be reviewing this one this year. Taxi Driver, a lot of people's favorite Scorsese movie. It's not my favorite, but you talking to me? Ted. Don't own Ted 2. Don't know if I ever will. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. That's the subtitle. Really liked that movie. Tenet. Really enjoyed this movie when it came out. I remember watching it at a drive-in just because I couldn't wait to see it. Because it was Nolan, of course, and he refused to push the movie back. So damn good. The Terminal. Underrated movie right there. Then we have Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Those are the only Terminator movies I have. Thanksgiving. Let's eat. Curious to see if there's a sequel. The Theory of Everything. And There Will Be Blood. You sniveling ass. There's Something About Mary. Then we have They Live. Rest in peace, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Whew. The Thin Red Line. The Thing. One of the best remakes to ever be released. This Is the End. I'm not going to shoot Emma Watson. And then we have all four movies. These first two, you know, they're nostalgic and feeling. Ragnarok is the best one. And I like Love and Thunder. Sorry. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Time Bandits. Then we have Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Then we have Titanic. I love Titanic. This is my mom's favorite movie of all time. I reviewed this one not too long ago. It still holds up. It's still one of the best things James Cameron's ever done. Really brought Leo into the public eye, and Kate Winslet for that matter. Like, what else is there to say that hasn't already been said? To Kill a Mockingbird, one of the greatest performances of all time by Gregory Peck. Tombstone, really good Western movie. Tommy Boy. Holy shnikes. Tomorrow Never Dies. Top Gun in the Steelbook. Top Gun Maverick in the Steelbook, which I actually prefer over the original. One of my favorite legacy sequels ever. Total Recall. The Towering Inferno. The Town. And then all 4 Toy Story movies. Toy Story 2 is still my favorite. I reviewed these ones not too long ago. I pretty much have said all my feelings on these 4 things. Like, this one was a game changer for animation. This one was even better. This one was a great send-off. And in a vacuum, 4 is really good. But I get people's complaints, and I have the same complaint. Why the heck is Woody, like, not treating his kid like he treated Andy? Like, it goes completely against everything about his character. Trading Places. Traffic on Criterion. Then we have, Training Day. Yes, one of Denzel Washington's best performances still to this day. Trainspotting. Treasure Planet, one of the more underrated Disney animations out there. Trick or Treat. True Grit, the remake. True Lies, really good James Cameron movie, actually. True Romance, great. Oh, that's a good movie right there. The Truman Show, another good one. Turning Red, again, Pixar put this out. It was a Disney Plus exclusive, like right off the heels of the pandemic. And listen, would this movie have made a bank at the box office? We'll never know. But I think it still has a lot of heart and a good amount to say, actually, on some subjects that you don't really see Disney talk about a lot. Twister, can't wait to own the sequel. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring the one and only Nicolas Cage. Unbreakable. This is still my favorite Shyamalan movie of all time. It was years ahead of its time, before comic book movies really took off. We had this one, and that was really all we had, aside from the Tim Burton Batmans. Uncharted. I know a lot of people don't like this one, but I find enough fun in it. Uncut Gems. Still, I think, Adam Sandler's best performance he's ever given in his career. Unforgiven. Unhinged. I remember watching this in the drive-in during the pandemic. How do you make a pickup truck look like the most villainous thing of all time? The Untouchables. Up. I think this holds up as a top 5 Pixar movie. No pun intended. So good. Like, you can turn the movie off after the first 10 minutes. You're done. Up in the Air. Then you have Upgrade. Next up is The Upside. And Us, directed by Jordan Peele. Can't wait to see what this guy does next. All right, last stretch here, home stretch. The Usual Suspects, Who is Kaiser Soze, V for Vendetta, Remember, the 5th of November, Vacation, we're 2.5 hours from the fucking fun park and you want to bail out, Van Helsing, and then we have Vanilla Sky, then we have Vertigo, classic Hitchcock movie, not my personal favorite though, Vice, pretty timely movie, if you ask me. Victory. Violent Night. Curious to see what they do with a sequel there. I wonder if that's a Christmas movie or not. Can you guys tell? Do you guys think you'd watch this over the holiday season? I don't know if I would. The Walk. Walk the Line. Talk about a movie that was ahead of its time. We're getting a musician biopic every single year, and this is still the best one out of all of them. How is that possible? Damn, I miss those days. WALL-E. WandaVision. WandaVision. Gotta do the theme song. War Horse. War of the Worlds. Warm Bodies. Oh, one of my favorites. Warrior. This is one I want to talk about with you guys so badly. This is such a great movie. Perfectly, like, it's a Rocky blueprint, but I think it's a perfect modernization of that Rocky blueprint, and it deals with a lot deeper emotional subject matter. Great movie. Kurt Angle also plays a Russian in it. Who would have pictured? Watchmen? The Water Boy. Outlandish indeed. Then we have The Way Back. Wayne's World. That theme song is going to be in your head. Hey, you bought a zoo? No, we bought a zoo. I mean, almost, guys, almost. Wedding Crashers. This is The Wedding Singer. You're gonna, Julia Gulia. I'm gonna be Julia Gulia. Weekend at Bernie's. I don't know why I own this, because I think it's pretty overrated. All right, guys, last big stack of movies here. Weird, one of my favorite Daniel Radcliffe performances, and one of my favorite musician biopics out there, believe it or not. Welcome to Marwen. Underrated. All I can really say. West Side Story, the original classic, and the remake that came out, directed by Spielberg. I thought it was better. The Whale gave Brendan Fraser an Oscar. When Harry Met Sally, I reviewed that one not too long ago. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the 25th anniversary edition. Whiplash. This one I want to review. Give a retard a calculator, I'll try to turn on the TV with it. Jesus, J.K. Simmons. Re-fucking-lax. Widows. What's this? Wild? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Still to this very day, one of my all-time favorite movies. Rest in peace, Gene Wilder. Thank you for your entertainment, sir. Thank you for everything that you put into this project. And, yeah, thank you for an amazing childhood. Willy's Wonderland. Nicolas Cage does not have one line of dialogue, and it's still a really fun movie. Winchester, not a very good movie, and not very historically accurate either. I'll be the first to tell you. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Winter's Bone. The big Discovery performance for a lot of people of Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, let's talk about Wish for a second. Yeah, for Disney's commemoration of their 100th anniversary, Wish was a bit of a disappointment, but that's not to say that this film is completely devoid of merit. There are some good things in it still. I think King Magnifico is a very fun character. Chris Pine did really well. The Witch, Robert Eggers' debut feature. Witness, crazy-ass movie. Wizard of Oz, just saying. Wicked's coming out this Thanksgiving. And this film turns 85 years old. I think it's time to review this one. Stay tuned. The Wolf of Wall Street, one of my favorite Scorsese pictures. The Woman in Black, pretty underrated film right there. The Woman King, really wanted to be Gladiator. Wonder Woman. And then we have Wonder Woman 1984. A lot of people kind of forget that Pedro Pascal plays the villain there. He's the shining bright spot of this. Wonka. Timothée Chalamet captured the spirit of the Wonka character so wonderfully. This movie is absolutely scrumdiddly. It's delightful. Hugh Grant is the Oompa Loompa as well. Sit back down and stay in your seat. Words on Bathroom Walls. World War Z. Then we have The World's End, part of the Cornetto trilogy, of course. Wrath of Man, Guy Ritchie. Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Breaks the Internet. Two great Disney movies of the past decade. The Wrestler, probably the quintessential movie about the wrestling industry and the demons that come along with being a part of it, especially from the 90s going on into the 2000s. It's gotten a lot better, but yeah, it was a dark time to be a wrestler then. The original X-Men trilogy, hope you had the time of your life watching those, alongside First Class, which is a great movie, Days of Future Past, which is even better, and Apocalypse, which is pretty underrated if you ask me. I really enjoy that. Yes Man, directed by Peyton Reed. I remember watching that in the theater when I was younger. Yesterday, Young Frankenstein. Frankenstein. It's pronounced Frankenstein. Just throwing that out there. You've Got Mail. Zathura, Childhood right there. That's a Jon Favreau directed movie there. Zero Dark 30. Zodiac. Then you have Zombieland Parts 1 and 2. Might be time to review this one for the Halloween special. And last but not least, the movie that ends every single Blu-ray collection video out there that I've seen, Zootopia, until Zootopia 2 comes out next year. And I'm sure that's going to be great. And that does it. Oh man, that was a lot of movies. And you know what? This collection, I'm sure, is going to grow quite a bit over the next year or so. I'm looking forward to doing this video again and again and again for you guys. It's always so much fun to go through it. If you enjoyed it, guys, do consider subscribing one last time. Hit that thumbs up as well. Lots to look forward to as we wind down the year 2024, as we get into the last third here. There is no shortage of subjects to talk about in the world of cinema over here. And I'd love to have you guys join the party. Y'all are the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for continuing to support this. So with all that being said, Bat Talk commence!